We are in such an unusual time right now with the coronavirus upon us and we're all seeing the effects of what this means for business and what this means just for daily routine. So I hope that some of the ideas that I share with you today will be advantageous for you as you engage your buyers and sellers in more of a virtual way. We're going to begin by sharing some stats and figures. Some of these may be very familiar to you by this point, but we just want to level set the context of why we're having this conversation today. We want to talk about meeting buyers and sellers where they are. Certainly where they were 2 weeks ago is a lot different than where they are today. We want to talk about tips for productive virtual engagement and then end with Q&A. So from a stats and figures perspective, some of these are going to look very familiar. Of course, by now we know that sports events have been canceled or postponed. It was just in the news this morning about the Olympics, the 2020 Olympics being postponed until 2021. Obviously, schools are closed, primary elections are postponed, restaurants are offering only to-go and delivery service, and the list goes on. And, we feel like we have to interject a little bit of humor into what's going on just to keep ourselves sane. And there at the bottom of the list, we see that toilet paper is even more scarce than just about anything else. And, it's really important to realize two things. First, the market is slowing. So now more than ever, it's critical for you as a real estate agent to differentiate yourself. And second, now is a great time to begin implementing new ways of working so that your comeback after all of this is even stronger than your business was prior to all of this. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of buyer and seller engagement. Many of us have only periodically worked remotely or conducted business remotely. Now, I know a lot of agents certainly conduct a lot of business from their home, from their car, from coffee shops, but your buyers and sellers may not be accustomed to doing the same thing. And it's very important to realize that. Many of us have not had to virtually engage with one another for an extended period of time. Many of your buyers and sellers have had to work at home only when they had a sick child or if they needed to meet the plumber for a repair. They may not have made a habit of working remotely like you have in the past. So it's important to keep that top of mind as well. Not everyone's good at it yet. And lastly, your business must continue producing, adding value, and generating revenue. As I said earlier, now's the time to be ready to stage a comeback after all of this is over. And if you thought competition between agents was fierce before coronavirus, it's going to be even more fierce after, because there are going to be a lot of sellers ready to list their homes. And since the market has slowed down a little bit, there are going to be a lot more people knocking on their doors trying to get those listings. So now is the time to prepare for that eventuality. So let's talk a little bit about meeting them where they are. And the first thing that I want to cover is planning ahead. And this is all about scheduling meetings and ensuring the invitation includes a clear agenda and how to connect with one another. Don't underestimate the importance of planning ahead. Like I said, so many of us have had our worlds disrupted, where in the past you might could have connected with a seller or buyer just with a quick phone call or a text message. Buyers and sellers are rationing their time right now. Think about it. If they've been accustomed to working in a corporate office and sending their kids to school, now they're getting accustomed to setting up a whole new routine at home and engaging with their coworkers from home and also managing the kids. They all have lunch times, they all have lesson plans. So there's a lot more orchestration involved in your buyers and sellers' days now than there were just weeks ago. In dealing with uncertain times like these, keep in mind that you and your clients may be dealing with these same sort of situations. So there's a chance to impart empathy and to know how planning ahead can impact both of you very, very favorably. It's all about scheduling meetings in advance, and you're giving your clients an opportunity to plan and structure their day, because more than likely they're going to be on the phone or they're going to be on a video conference. And the ability to just catch them when they might be available, that doesn't exist anymore. So scheduling these things and putting it on each other's calendar keeps everyone, their schedules open and making sure that everyone's available when they need to be. And also talking about meeting them where they are, I'm a big fan of meeting agendas. Now, this may sound a little bit dry, but stick with me on this one. Agendas ensure that every buyer and seller has a clear idea of what you're there to discuss and that you have achievable goals for that conversation. Everything right now is about efficiency, and we all have a little bit less time. Even though so many people are working from home, we have a lot less time, and we need to broker our time very, very carefully. If you're not one for planning ahead, now is the time to kick that habit. If you're very impulsive and just kind of act when the thought comes to your mind, that isn't going to work anymore. It's all about setting up time with your client. And in an agenda, you can talk about maybe those 3 big things you want to cover with your buyer or your seller. As an example, you may say, in this conversation, I want to talk about the status of your listing. I want to plan virtual showings, and I also want to set up plans for inspections, right? That gives you 3 concrete things to discuss in the amount of time that you have together. And if you discuss those 3 things, you'll all feel a sense of accomplishment. When you send an email to set up time with people, consider sending it as a meeting invitation. I know many of you use services like Outlook or Gmail or Google Calendar. Go ahead and add the meeting to your calendar and add your buyer or your seller as an invitee to that meeting so that both of your calendars are blocked. And be sure to include how you're going to connect. Is it a link to a Zoom meeting to do a web video conference? Or is it just a phone call? And if it's a phone call, what number should everyone dial into, or who's going to call who? Make it explicitly clear. Don't leave it up to chance. And you want to certainly review your calendar and your meeting agendas the night before the next business day and also the morning of the next day, just to make sure you have adequately planned your time and that you've not overcommitted yourself. Now let's talk about getting visual. So video, it's no secret. We're seeing this on the news every day and we're seeing it ourselves. Video has taken over. Embrace video. Go ahead and start your day by getting workspace and start meeting with your buyers and sellers. If you have a spouse or kids at home, you'll want to go ahead and set up a space inside of your home that has a door and a lock, so that you can keep out pets, keep out kids for the duration of your video calls. You want to minimize distractions as much as possible. That allows you to concentrate and to allow your buyers and sellers to concentrate too. Working well, make sure these services are working well. If you need to, just set up time with a friend or a colleague or your spouse just to run a test. Do a test video call and see how much lag there is in the line. See how closely you can end one sentence and start another, and make sure that people can hear you and that you're not talking over one another. It's very important to practice, 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 because all of a sudden with this coronavirus situation, we're all suddenly being forced to get good at these skills. And if you don't get good at these skills, you are at risk of being left behind and having fewer buyers and sellers engage with you. They want someone who can operate in any circumstances. And now is the time to practice, because we all have the time. Go ahead and practice and get good at these skills. And even if your buyer or seller doesn't want to use video, maybe they say, oh, my hair is in curlers, or I haven't gotten dressed today. Go ahead and show yourself on video. And what this is going to do is instill a sense of confidence in your buyers and sellers that you are ready. You are ready to hit the ground running. If the phone rings and someone wants to see their listing or to make an offer, you are dressed, you are prepared, you are ready to take that on. If you shy away and turn your camera off, they're going to think you're in a t-shirt and shorts and you're not ready. Your shoes are not on, the car is not warmed up. You're not ready to do business. So this is all about setting the right impression and setting the right expectations. It's really important to be there for every showing. Now, I know social distancing makes that a little bit hard, and this is where I want to give a little bit of a plug for our service at Glass House Guide. By embracing voice technology and leveraging our service, you can actually be there for every showing. That may sound like wizardry, but stick with me on this one as well. Eventually, buyers are going to want to tour a listing before they make an offer. That's a given. So with social distancing top of mind, if it's your listing with tools like ours, you can place an Alexa device inside of your listing and have Alexa ready to greet buyers as they enter the home. Our service will greet buyers, it will welcome them by name and provide an overview of the property. And it also allows buyers to have a conversation with Alexa to have their questions answered about the property. They want to know about the home, but they also want to know about the community around the home. With our service, you are in full control of all of the responses Alexa gives to buyers. And I'm really excited to announce that we are about to launch a new service called Glass House Guide to Go. And what this means is inside of your MLS listings in the description, you can provide a unique public-facing property ID that will allow a buyer to interact with their Alexa device from home or wherever they are and have the same sort of conversation and get their questions answered about the property. So imagine that your buyer, because so many do this, they have their cell phone and they're looking at Zillow or they're looking at realestate.com or any of the other services. And as they're flipping through the pictures, they want to know more information. So with our Glass House Guide to Go service, they will be able to interact with Alexa and have a true conversation about the listing. And you, as the listing agent, will get statistics and analytics that tell you who's asking the question and what type of questions are they asking. So we're really excited to launch that. We're just a few days away from that happening. That will be, as of right now, a free addition to anyone who is currently a subscriber to Glass House Guide. And we are so excited to offer 1 month free of our service. Visit glasshouseguide.com and enter the promotion code community in order to get 1 month free. Now we continue and talk about some of the soft skills with engaging buyers and sellers virtually. Soft skills are really important. And the one that I want to touch on first is what I call one at a time. Allow buyers and sellers to finish their sentences and thoughts during phone calls and video conferences. As we all know, some conference services and some video services have a little bit of lag time, and it's possible to talk over one another very easily. And we all know that interrupting is not nice. Our parents all taught us that when we were kids. It's not nice to interrupt one another, and you don't want to give that perception when you're meeting with someone virtually. So this is a great chance to, again, phone a friend or a spouse or someone at home with you and run a few tests. While things are slow, early in the morning or late in the evening, run a test and just see what sort of pace of conversation is acceptable when using these services, both voice and video. Kindness is a soft skill that we all need to practice more of in general, but especially now with so many people feeling so much anxiety and stress during this very unique time. Everyone feels some amount of anxiety. Even if they're a skeptic and they're saying, oh, we'll be back to work in just a few days, they're feeling anxiety because their customers are feeling anxiety. This goes for your buyers and sellers too. Those are all hardworking people. They have customers, they have colleagues, they have companies to serve, and they may be feeling stressed or anxious right now. And it's important to respect that in conversation and be prepared and be sensitive. And one of the things I encourage people to do is just simply ask, are you okay? Do you need anything? Talk about building relationships with your buyers and sellers. If you're the person who's reaching out proactively to say, are you okay? Is there anything you need? Is there anything I can do for you? That will go a long way with them, and it will build a rapport that lasts a lifetime. Now let's talk about some tactics. This has been in the news as well. There are a lot of technology services that are making themselves free for a limited period of time or making themselves free for an extended period of time with trials, just like Glass House Guide and our 1 month free promotion. Our service is very low cost already. It's $20 per month to get started. And a lot of these services are very comparable in price. There are free tools to go out there and try. And now is the time to try them. If in the past you've had a mantra or an excuse of, I'm not technical, technology isn't my thing, I don't do technology, that doesn't fly anymore. We are all doing technology. Literally every one of your buyers and sellers, if they're not on the front lines in a hospital or an EMT sort of role, they are embracing technology and they expect the same out of you. And now is a great time, especially while things are a little bit slow, to test drive some of these services. On the screen, you see Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Slack. Slack is a great real-time chat mechanism. Think about that as you engage with your colleagues and the team that you may be leading. Google Hangouts, Glasshouse Guide, these are all low-cost technology solutions that are going to make you come across as a tech-enabled agent. And I guarantee you there is support behind every one of these. You can phone and ask questions, use online help, and your colleagues very likely know how to use these tools as well. So lean on them. Get the support you need in order to be effective with these technological tools. For us at Glasshouse Guide, you can contact us anytime. We will connect with you by phone, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever it takes to make you successful. A shared drive is a big deal. Now, this one is particularly interesting right now, where if you are someone who has a habit of saving files on your laptop, and if that laptop goes on the fritz, if it stops working right now, there aren't computer shops you can take it to. You can't take it to the Apple Genius Bar right now because those stores are closed. You would be in a very challenged situation to be able to get the data off of your laptop and remain effective. However, if you make use of some of the shared drive solutions like Dropbox or Google Drive and put your files in the cloud, the files are accessible no matter if your laptop goes on the fritz or not. I can get to all of our company files from any device, be it my laptop, my smartphone, or my tablet, because everything saved by everyone on the team is in the cloud. Now, these services all have free tiers to start with. So again, use some of this slower time to get accustomed to these tools and train yourself on how to use them. And a good best practice to make sure that you're doing this right is to send your buyers and sellers and your colleagues links to files instead of actual file attachments. That is good behavior. It helps make sure that the file is saved in the cloud and not on your local desktop. So there may be a little bit of a learning curve there, but I guarantee you this will pay dividends over time, not just right now while the crisis is going on, but long term. We'd like to mitigate risk at every turn. Now, this last tactic that I want to talk about is a daily stand-up meeting. And this is something we do at Glasshouse Guide, and it's very, very important. If you are a broker or a team leader and you have a network of agents and support staff that are working with you, I highly encourage you to do one or more daily stand-up meetings. And in these meetings, it's a very, very simple agenda. You'll go around the room virtually and ask everyone, what did you work on yesterday? What are you working on today? And do you have any blockers? And a blocker is something that impedes someone from making progress. It's keeping them from being productive. This sort of meeting should only take 15 minutes or less. If someone is talking at length and just sharing too much information, I encourage whoever is leading this meeting to say, let's hold on that and have a sidebar conversation after the daily stand-up. You want to make sure everyone's paying attention during this meeting, because if someone shares a blocker and there's someone else on the team who can help eliminate that blocker or make things better, you want everyone to hear that. It's all about communication. And when you focus on your buyers and sellers during this call, everyone should be sharing who they met with yesterday, who they're planning to meet with today, and again, any blockers. Maybe you were close to closing a deal on a property and you have a blocker that you just can't get in touch with the seller or you can't get in touch with the buyer. Everyone needs to hear that and start brainstorming on how to fix that situation. So I'm going to pause for Q&A and see if there are any questions from our audience. And as we post this video online to view later on, we'll probably pause on the Q&A just to keep it interesting. So I would like to go ahead and thank everyone for attending today. Thank you so much for thinking ahead and knowing how important it is to engage buyers and sellers virtually. We are here for you at Glass House Guide. And in that spirit, I want to share that, again, we are offering 1 month free for our subscriptions. And that is a long time to get started and get acclimated to how this works, but we allow you to place any Alexa device inside of each of your listings, and Alexa will greet buyers as they enter the property and provide them useful information that gets them, it helps change them from just someone interested into someone ready to make an offer. And with our new service about to come online, Glass House Guide to Go, you'll be able to share information with people through your online listings as well. And they can converse. And I tell you, this is going to leave an impression with buyers. We consistently hear that buyers refer to listings with Glass House Guide as the Alexa house. And that's the sort of memorability you want when buyers are evaluating so many available properties. My email address is on the screen. Do not hesitate to reach out to me with any questions. We're happy to do a demo over video conference with you and your team anytime. Again, that's glasshouseguide.com. And we thank you so much for your time today. And we wish you lots of safety and wellness during this very challenging time. Take care.